right, welcome everyone to another Monday Mindset on the Agent Power Huddle. Hope you guys are off to a great Monday. I'm excited about this particular presentation. This is one that just kind of came to me. I wasn't even supposed to be here today. This is one that came to me over the weekend, and it really resonated with me. And it was there was actually an open spot here today. So instead of doing a recording, I thought I would actually just come on and share, some of the training I was doing for myself over the weekend that I thought would be great to be able to share with you. I'm gonna pull up this PowerPoint real quick. Right, let's see. All right. Okay. So we got it up here. So the language of power. And I actually went through it even just with the title on this. Initially, it was the power of language, but I started thinking about it. And from a standpoint of language is, what we understand. Like, for instance, there's the English language, there's Spanish, there's Portuguese, there's so many different languages in the world. And we may understand one, we may understand many, but the key is understanding the language, of, our native language or whatever the case may be. Well, there's a language when it comes to success. There's a language that when it comes to power and digging inside into your own greatness and things of that nature. And one of the things that kind of came out of this as I was putting this training together is realizing that we all have a language that we speak to ourselves. And that language could be very positive, it could be very negative. And whichever case it is, we put power behind the words that we speak. So again, we're going to talk about the language of power from an aspect of creating positive thoughts and affirmations and phrases that you're saying to yourself. And we're actually going to talk about simple phrases that we use all the time, and we think of them as being harmless, but they are. And I'm going to show you as we go through this how we are actually creating a lot of harm for ourselves with the words that we speak to ourselves and understanding the power in your words. And so, first and foremost, just understanding how the power of language affects us. Again, it all starts, with our thoughts, and our thoughts create what it is that we're speaking to ourselves. A lot of times, outside thoughts and spoken word of others has an effect on how we look at ourselves. If you think of, if you're around very positive people and they say very uplifting things about you, it's going to help to raise you and raise your thoughts about yourself. Just on the opposite side of that, if you're around negative people that are saying negative things about you and putting you down, it's going to make you think that way about yourself. But the most powerful voice is that inner voice that you have inside of you, because even if you are around or in an environment where people are speaking very negatively about the world or about you or whatever the case may be, when you have a strong inner voice, you can deflect all that negativity and keep it really on the positive. So this is why, as we go through this, you'll see that language is very important in what it is that we're speaking to ourselves. Because again, this is what um, it gives, nurtures, and grows the belief that we have. And you can have belief in being able to do something incredible, and you can have belief and not being able to do some of the most simplest tasks. It's your belief is based off of your thinking and the voice that you're speaking to yourself. And through that belief, as you strengthen your belief, it's going to give you a certain type of behavior. There's going to be a level of confidence that you have in the things that you're doing when you're speaking to yourself from a positive standpoint. it's going to give you courage to step out of the norm of what you have done and do something extraordinary. And through that behavior and being consistent with that behavior, it's going to create the outcomes that you ultimately are looking for. And I just added a quote in here. You cannot build a powerful life with powerless language. So we're going to talk about the positive side. But before I jump into that, I want to give you, and we may get into 10 phrases, but I want to make sure that I cover these six just based off of time. We'll see where we're at. Um, but six negative phrases that sabotage your success. And the thing about it is when you hear some of these phrases, you'll realize that, man, I say that all the time. I didn't really necessarily think that it was negative. And as we go through it, you'll have a better understanding of exactly what I'm saying. And I'm going to not only share those phrases with you, how they affect you in a negative light, but I'm going to give you a positive alternative of what you can say. And the first one, again, how many times have you said, I'll try, or I'm trying, or I'm going to try to do this? And thinking, if you break down just the concept of try, that means, you may give some type of effort to doing something, but you're also giving yourself an excuse. You're giving yourself a backdoor to potentially failing. So if it doesn't work, you can say, I tried. I gave it a shot. I tried. But if you go into it with an approach and a thinking of I will, well, that's definitive. That's saying it's going to be done. And one of the things you have to remember, and I'm going to kind of touch on this back and forth, and I've talked quite a few different times about the subconscious mind. See, the subconscious mind never sleeps. This is the place where we dream from. So when the conscious mind is resting while we're asleep, the subconscious mind is that part that's still continuing to work and operate. And see, that's the part that you are speaking to on a daily basis. And the subconscious mind only knows what it is told, only knows the information that it's able to take in. So you have to understand that what you're speaking to yourself is you're building a foundation of whatever those words are. So again, changing I'll try to I will. It's creating more of a commitment to whatever it is that you're saying that you're going to do. I want you to think about, if you've ever invited someone to, let's say, a EXP Explain luncheon or a webinar or whatever the case may be, and they told you, I'll try to make it. Did that give you any confidence that they were going to be there? No, I mean, it probably gave you just the opposite of feeling like, yeah, they're not showing up, So that is just how powerful when you're saying, I'll try to do 10 closings this month, or I'll try to hit a mark that I've never hit before, versus I will. I am going to do this. Again, a big difference. One little tweak, just taking try out of your vocabulary. This is something I learned probably, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago I'm very careful when I use the word try and how I'm using it, just in my day-to-day actions, day-to-day activities. So another one, I'm sure you're very familiar with this one, and understanding, how dangerous it can be to your development and to your growth. I can't. This is another one I try to remove from my vocabulary, especially when I'm talking about something that I'm pursuing. I'm going out to reach. I don't want to say I can't do it. I can't, and then usually there's an excuse of why you can't. I can't get 10 deals this month because I don't even have 10 clients. Well, you've already given yourself an out when you're saying that. So instead of saying that, saying, how can I get 10 clients this month? And it's one of those things of, answering, taking the I can and finding a way to reverse that from a standpoint of making yourself better. If it's in this moment, I feel like I can't, but how can I, whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, and just making that little tweak, that little adjustment, is going to make a significant difference in your continued growth. And you have to also, as you're going through this process, remember that it's a marathon, it's not a sprint, and the fact that things are not lining up right now, you are taking steps to get them to where they line up consistently all the time for you. Another one that I've actually heard people say when, again, through the personal development journey, and when I'm coaching agents and I'm pointing out certain things that, again, if I'm telling someone, I notice that you say, I'll try quite a bit. Well, that's just the way I am. That's just how I am. That, is taking a position of, number one, you're saying this is your identity. And number two, you're kind of um, doubling down on it. You're holding on to this as being your identity, and you're not giving yourself a place of, okay, I recognize what you're saying in regards to I'll try, or I can, or whatever other things that I may be doing that are affecting my success. And instead of just saying that's just who I am, I understand that, okay, I have to be in a person that's evolving into the person that I want to be. And, that's something for me. One of the things, I talk about in our EXP Explain presentation, I talk about evolution all the time. I think we have to understand that we as human beings are constantly evolving. And, I have a statement that when we cease to evolve, we cease to exist. And we're dying from that standpoint. So we have to always be in a mindset of evolution for our own success. And this has nothing to do with it's not just business. This is your personal life, your health, all the things. We should constantly be evolving. The world around us is evolving, and we live in a day and age right now with technology where it is evolving at a rapid pace. So understanding that everything around us is evolving, we have to also be able to evolve. So saying that's just who I am, and saying, you know what, this is it. This is as good as it gets. This is who I'm going to be. I'm not changing. It's going to have an effect on you, and sounds harmless. That's just how I am, but it's not. It's very dangerous to your own growth. Here's something else. I'm not good at that. I've heard many people say this, and the thing about it is, things that you're not good at, it's because you probably haven't done them very often. And we all go through a phase where we're not good at something, but we tend to get better if we're staying, on task of being committed to continuing to do whatever that thing is. I can tell you, when I done my first EXP Explain presentation, I wasn't good at that, but I made a commitment to get better at it. When I did my first listing presentation, I wasn't good at that, but I made a commitment to get better on a daily basis with that. And it kind of takes me back to that story that we've all heard of Michael Jordan, and how he, in his junior year, didn't make the varsity basketball team. And he could have said, I'm not good at that basketball thing, and gave up on it by taking that mentality of speaking that to himself. But instead, he said, I'm going to get better. And I can tell you, if you followed his career, even as he became the Michael Jordan that we know, one of the things that I learned about him is every off season, he took a part of his game, whether it was ball handling, whether it was passing, whether it was shooting, dribbling, whatever the case may be, and he honed that particular craft. So he was always, even, when he became the superstar Michael Jordan, he was still looking at ways to get better. And Kobe Bryant is another one of those that, again, was constantly in pursuit of perfecting his game. But in the meantime, they were progressing at where they were currently at. The next one, this is one of my favorite, is it's too hard. I can't tell you, I've heard people say that about real estate. It's too hard. Um, it's a hard business. Yeah, it's a hard business, but are you going to look at it as it's hard and I'm not going to be able to do this? I mean, I'll try. You could, once you say it's too hard, you could probably put all those other ones that I just shared with you into that same paragraph. But what that means is that you're focusing on the struggle rather than the solution. And if you look at it as a challenge, again, I look at, if you go to the gym and you're trying to lift a weight that you've never lifted before, it's going to be too hard. But if you start working out at another a lower weight, that do more reps, and you're able to gradually grow to a point where now the weight that you couldn't lift, say a month ago or 2 months ago, you're lifting that weight. Because you worked your way into it. Once again, we're talking about the consistency of doing something, but something that was hard has now become easy. So you're rising to the challenge, of that thing that's holding you back. And the I don't know how. This is probably one of my favorite, because you think about it, we all say, I don't know how. For me, it was one of those things of, if I didn't know how to do something, I'm going to find people that do and have done it at a very successful level, and follow what it is that they're doing to grow, whether it's personally, whether it's, physically, whether it's business, whatever the case may be. I'm always seeking because there's a lot of things that I haven't known how to do, but I was able to partner with people and connect with people that were able to show me how to do those things. And this is one where, again, it creates paralysis when we get a lot of time, and you've probably heard this term of focus on the why, don't worry about the how. And the reason that is said is because when you start to focus on the how of something that you don't know how to do, it causes paralysis. It causes you to not move and move forward in a way to have failure. And I think, again, that's a word, failure, that people look at in a very negative light. But if you look at, I'm going to go back to the gym for a minute. When you go to the gym, your goal when you're in the gym, at least for me, is to take my muscles to muscle failure. And the reason that is because I am looking to break down the muscle so I can grow it stronger, and I continue to increase in strength. So if we look at when we have a failure, what that's telling us, it's just like Thomas Edison said. Someone said, well, you failed at creating the incandescent light bulb, 10,000 times. He said, I didn't fail 10,000 times. I just found 10,000 times that not how to not do it. So I took that out of the equation, and then I continued to figure out how to make it work. So again, a lot of times we want to know the how before we are doing. And one of my mentors, Bob Proctor, I was able to train under him before his passing a few years ago. And he talked about the knowing doing gap. Again, and a lot of times there's instances where we know what it is that we're supposed to do, and we still have a disconnect of actually doing. And that's kind of a whole nother topic to discuss. But imagine not knowing what it is that you're supposed to do, then you're definitely not going to do the action. You're not going to take the action. But did you understand? If you can understand this, the doing creates the knowing. Because when you go through it, just like Thomas Edison, the doing of failing, the doing of not doing it the right way, allows you to learn, okay, that's not going to work. Let's go back to the drawing board and try it again. That's not going to work. Let's go back to the drawing board again and see if we can get this right. So not having a fear of the doing and failing is going to help you to know better. And it's one of those areas right now where, again, I'm living here in San Diego, and I'm doing business in a very different way. I had thoughts of how it was going to be, but now I'm actually doing it. I'm seeing some different obstacles that are coming up, but I'm working through those obstacles and I'm streamlining a system that I'm putting in place by just doing and knowing how to make the changes along the way. So you learn, the how through your doing. So we got a couple more minutes. I'm going to hit on these other four real quick. I'm not ready yet. Again, if we were to wait for when we are completely ready, we will be waiting for a long time. I can tell you, I gave myself 4 years to get to San Diego and put a plan in place. When it got here, there were all these other things going on, my business, personal, all these different things. And I could have very easily said, oh, I'm not ready yet. Everything, all the ducks are not in a row. Everything is not perfect. But I told myself, no, if I do that, I'm never going to be completely ready. And each and every one of you, you are never going to be completely ready for, especially if it's a big task, a big goal that you're going after. There's going to be a little bit of hesitance around that, and so you have to just understand that, okay, I'm in a place where I'll start now and improve along the way. Once again, we're going back to just the doing and learning as you're going through the process. Again, one of them, and this is something that you probably, maybe you don't say it as much, but you do think it. I can tell you, I think this at times, and I have to remind myself of, the Thomas Edison, but it's, what if I fail? Again, this puts you in a place of focusing on the word failure in a negative light. And so what I have to tell myself is, what if I fail? Okay, that hopefully I do, because I don't expect that I'm going to come right out the gate the first time I try something and just get it right. No, I'm gonna learn some things from it of how to do this thing better. So I look at it more so of, um, when I fail, I'm going to know how to make the adjustments so that I'm going more to a place of what when I succeed with whatever it is that I'm doing. So understanding failure is a part of the process. Failure, if you're not failing, you're not doing it enough, whatever the case may be. So again, just understanding the importance of that failure plays in the process, and it's not a negative thing. Someone else is better at this. Um, if you're saying this to yourself, I want you to reconstruct this from a standpoint of, I hope that there's someone else better at this so I can learn from them. Remember, I talked about a few minutes ago in regards to when I don't know how to do something, I am pursuing the people that do know how to do it. So instead of thinking about someone else being better at it, think of, okay, those can be my partners, those can be my mentors that can help me to get better. And I can tell you, throughout my real estate career, throughout my business career, that's what I've always pursued. See, I went to school for criminal justice. I spent the majority of my working career in law enforcement. So the businesses that I ran, I was not prepared through college. I was not prepared through police experiences. I got prepared by aligning myself with people that had already created the success. So again, taking someone else is better at this to, I hope I can find someone else is better at this that can help me to grow my business. And this one, I can tell you this. I left this last and not least because this is the one that really resonates with me, and I'm sure probably resonates with each of you because we do only have 24 hours in a day. And it's funny, me and my wife have been talking since we've been in San Diego about how it seems like time goes faster out here because the days go so quickly, it seems like. But again, we all talk about, I don't have enough time. I don't have time. And this, again, is kind of giving some excuse to, where your priorities lie. Again, we do all have that same 24 hours. It comes down to how you manage them and what you prioritize as being most important things. And so again, shifting that mindset to, I choose to make time for what matters most. And I think that is something, and sometimes you have to do this. Uh, Something that matters most on Monday may not be the same thing that matters most on Tuesday. Sometimes to get everything in, I can tell you there's a lot of things on my plate, and certain things have to take more priority on certain days than others. So again, reframing that, because I tell you, people use "I don't have time" all the time, in their daily thinking of their day, and they never try to reframe it, and so they never have time. So again, making those adjustments will help to create a better um, use of the time that you do have. So let's just talk about a couple of daily mindset rituals that you can use. The mirror declarations. This is, hopefully you have your goals written down. Hopefully you're reading your goals on a daily basis. Hopefully you have affirmations, that are written down. One of the things I would ask you to do with those affirmations is, there's a point in the day, usually probably in the morning, when you're brushing your teeth or you're putting on your makeup or you're getting your hair together, and you're getting started with your day. You're in the mirror. You're looking at yourself in that moment. Do those daily declarations to yourself. Looking at yourself in the mirror. There's uh, a level of I would say, the intentionality of, speaking. This is truly where you are speaking to yourself. And there's a lot of power that comes into that. So making those declarations, and then throughout the course of your day, whether you're reading them again, whether you're rewriting them again, sometimes you have to reframe as you're catching yourself saying, "I'll try," or you're saying, "I don't know how." Catch yourself in those moments and say, "Okay, I need to reframe that. What is this thing that I'm just about to say, I don't know how to do? And let me reframe that." And the more that you do that, the more that you take yourself from these negative statements that are sabotaging you to reframing them, you'll get to a point where all of a sudden the reframing of positive statements are now the norm for you. So reframe and rewrite those statements, those affirmations on a daily basis. And then the evening identity check. This is, again, I think it's important to, look at those declarations or affirmations that you made and do a checklist, or, grade yourself on, okay, how good was I on this particular section of what I was supposed to do for myself, from an affirmation standpoint? How good was I at what I was supposed to do for my business, from an affirmation standpoint? So doing a daily check-in, I can tell you, when you do this and you can see some positive results, it builds confidence going into the next day. And if you do this and you can see, okay, man, I didn't really accomplish anything on this, hopefully you reframe that to say, okay, tomorrow I must get better than what I did today. So using this as really kind of a report card for yourself, and helping you to grow into the person that you want to be, going into the following day. So again, your words really create your world, and this is whether it's with client interaction, it's with a negotiation, it's, if you're a team leader or if you're part of a team, your personal fulfillment, all those things, your words really come into play. So, how you speak to yourself determines how far you rise. Shift your language and you'll shift your future. So I want you to think from that standpoint, constantly taking notice of the words that you speak. And all of those 10 that I shared with you can seem relatively harmless. But it's when you realize that you're consistently using those words with yourself that it's also having an effect on your production, on your ability to progress and get better. So I want to just say thank you, everyone, for being here today. And hopefully this was something that was helpful for you just in regards to your daily mindset, how you're looking at yourself, reframing some of those words and those thoughts that you're using about yourself, to make sure that you're moving yourself in a positive direction for growth. All right. So this has been a great start to your Monday, and utilize this to take you into the rest of the week and do some amazing things. All right. Have a great rest of your week. Take care.
If you'd like more information or to get connected to the Agent Power Huddle, join our free Facebook group. This call was designed for the agents in our EXP organization, but open to any agent from any brokerage. If you're a guest and you're interested in learning more about EXP or our specific resources within the Agent Collective, reach out to the person who invited you to this call to get more info. Produced by the Agent Collective Media Network.